Roy Keane's a professional. He undermined his manager. He disrupted what seemed to be training going on for the World Cup finals. He knows there's a price to be paid. He sent himself home by his behaviour.
No, Mark. I mean, Roy Keane is a consummate professional, and he wouldn't undermine his manager or cause any disruption unless there was a good reason. And I think we've seen former players coming out today defending Mick McCarthy. We've seen other former players telling stories about past World Cups, past FAI experiences. And the most important thing that was required...
But we've seen current players like Steve Staunton, Niall Quinn coming out and saying Keane had to go. Well,
at a certain point in any dispute of this nature, it becomes a battle for the hearts and minds of the public. And I think the players were corralled into that. And I think that they were given a version of what Roy Keane had said. Very few people have read the Irish Times interview or listened to the radio interview. The radio interview is very, very restrained, and the press comments are really quite restrained.
Well, but I'll read you what he said. He said, I'm working with people I can't work with anymore. I mean, he's sending himself home when he says something like that, and that's in Gabriel Egan's interview this morning.
He's saying, but he's telling the truth, Mark. He's expressing a point of view, and his crime is that he has been forthright and honest. And I think Roy would identify with Eugene and John. Roy loves the fans. He loves the game, and he very much wears his heart on his sleeve. And that's why what drives him. And I think he feels that for too long in Ireland, the Irish soccer public has been cheated by incompetence and not reaching the standards that the Italians, the French, the Germans and the English reach in terms of logistics and preparation. And he's right. He's pointed the finger and he told the truth.
John Delaney, can you respond to that?
John knows that.
Well, Roy sets very high standards. He's been critical of Manchester United in the past.
Should we punish a man for setting high standards?
No, he's been critical of the FAI in the past. We've responded in the past to the problems that he highlighted. We had issues in relation to the AUL complex, which we ratified by going to Baldonnel for our training. We had issues in terms of the hotel. We changed to City West to accommodate the players. We had issues in terms of first-class flights out, which we accommodate as well. So we've always listened to him, certainly in the past. But I think on this occasion, for the first time, he really went past the post on it. He upset the players, he upset team morale, he upset the manager.
Can I make a point? Freddie Lundberg today, the Swedish player who plays for Arsenal, lunged at and punched another Swede on the training ground. No one's going to send Freddie Lundberg home. Raúl, the great Spanish centre-forward, is fighting with the Spanish manager. It's a public row. No one's going to send Raúl home. It's only the Irish who will send the greatest player in the world probably at this time home and cheat the fans, cheat the nation, John, of the opportunity of enjoying something we've worked hard for 4 years. And I know you're a good guy, John. You're one of the reformers in Marion Square, and I'm not going to lay the blame on you. But John, why can't you take up Eugene's point? Why cannot... who's running Irish soccer? The FAI or Mick McCarthy? And in whose interest is Irish soccer being run?
Well, it's very simple. I mean, Eamon, you know it as well as I do. I'm Treasurer of the Association. I'm responsible for the financial part of the association. Mick McCarthy is appointed as our team manager. He is our manager. I will never cross the line. I don't think anybody in the administration will cross the line in terms of picking a team. I think Alan Kelly made a very salient point today. He said, look, what's the difference between one player going home and possibly 22 going home? There is a problem with team morale out there. That is absolute, absolute. If you heard what Steve Staunton said, if you heard what Niall Quinn said, there is problems. I think Roy has somewhere distanced himself from the players out there, and that is part of what's happened here.
Eamon Dunphy, to an extent you have Roy Keane talking about speaking on behalf of the players, but the impact of what he's done is to damage the morale of that squad. So whatever he intended, the impact has been quite dreadful.
I think you have to understand there's a long history here of incompetence and the administration of the game not matching up to the professionalism
but when
of the
Roy Keane's expressed his problems, you know, in private, he's done it through the usual channels. They've been settled, haven't they?
Yeah, but I think, you see, this is the final straw. You go to the major tournament, he's 30 years of age, they've all achieved it together, he's made a massive contribution as leader. You get there and you find the one thing you really need is a decent pitch. And you're playing on a concrete car park with stones on it and 1/4 of it flooded. This is just unacceptable.
Why was that the case, John Delaney?
Well, that's not for me to answer, and I'm not sidestepping it. I mean, let me put it to you very clearly. Mick McCarthy and Ray Tracy made those arrangements. We're paying for them. So, you know, I think there might be a difference of opinion between Mick, obviously, and Roy as to what they should be doing out. I mean, Mick's view is that this was a week for R&R. They're playing a bit of golf. They're doing light training. That next week was the real difficult week for first training. Roy look, he's huge standards. He sets high standards. He's an incredible, exceptional footballer.
But those high standards are met by people like Alex Ferguson, who Keane says is an inspirational figure. Why can't Mick McCarthy do what Alex Ferguson does on a weekly, daily basis at Old Trafford?
I think Alex Ferguson, you know, from what I know, is a father figure to Roy. And I mean, if it hadn't been for Alex Ferguson last Tuesday night, Roy would have been gone last Tuesday night. So I think we have to recognise that.
Now,
One thing I'd like to say, sorry, I'd just say it briefly, even now at the 11th hour, Manchester United having to send a private jet home to get our captain, our Irish captain, home out of that camp. Even his travel arrangements to come home haven't been looked after by the FAI. That's completely unacceptable as well.
Well, again, I don't want to be sidestepping. Ray Tracy is out there. The arrangements were made on Tuesday night for him to come home. I haven't spoken to Ray today about that. But if there's cost implications, Eamon, I've got to be honest, we'll take him up because...
And it's Dawn and Saipan now. There's no chance that Roy Keane's going off with the team to Japan.
I can't see any way. I mean, if you could wave a magic wand, we'd all be delighted to do so. But I think it's just gone a bridge too far. Tuesday night, I mean, Eamon's aware of this. I mean, we worked very diligently to make this not happen. I mean, I was stunned and amazed on Tuesday when this broke out. I felt we had settled on Tuesday night. I used all the powers I had to speak to Michael Kennedy, who's a terrific guy. He's Roy's agent. To speak to Mick McCarthy directly at 5 minutes before it happened. I thought we'd resolved it. It's a disappointment to me as much as anybody else.
Eamon, something about what Roy Keane said about personal reasons. He talked about personal reasons before this controversy broke out. That set the media scrambling for stories. Is there something outside the world of football?
No, unfortunately, and it was very, very unfortunate. In fact, a grave matter. Mick McCarthy said that Roy had personal reasons, and that is not true, and was very damaging to Roy. And it was a wrong thing to do. Roy isn't, he's not a PR man. He tells the truth. But there have been examples in the past 8 days. The Quinn testimonial story is another example in which he's been used and exploited by Mick McCarthy and by people in the media. And it's hurt him deeply, and it's a wrong. It's a wrong, and this is where you can source all of this discontent. It began in a lie, Mark.
I have to leave it with you, Eamon. Last word there. Thank you very much to Derek, to Eamon, to John, and to Eugene. Good luck in Japan, whatever that means.